900 degrees. That's a lot of rotation. What's going on, guys? It is Boost HD here, and today I've decided to do a full review of the Logitech GT racing wheel, and this is mainly made for Gran Turismo gaming. Now, I have talked a lot about this wheel before in my Top Gear Gran Turismo Edition videos. I've also done a calibration test with this wheel, but I've never ever done a full review of this wheel. Now, there's a lot of attractions that this wheel has to offer. One of the main obvious ones, of course, is the 900 degree rotation, which is very, very uncommon on most console wheels. You only normally find 900 degree rotation on real car steering wheels, or sometimes in arcade racing wheels, but you never really find them on any console steering wheels. So this one is probably the cheapest 900 degree rotation wheel you can probably find. So unfortunately, this is only compatible with the PC and PS3, so I'm sorry Xbox 360 guys, this is not compatible with that platform of console, but it is compatible with PC and PS3, and most importantly Gran Turismo 5, Prologue, and the main one. Now, this wheel is also compatible with a lot of other racing games as well, such as Need for Speed Shift and Midnight Club 3, just to name a few, or LA. It is compatible with quite a lot of other racing games, so it's not just solely only suited for Gran Turismo, so it can be used on a lot of other racing games as well, so that's not a setback in real terms. But apart from the 900 degree rotation, this wheel does have a lot to offer. So one of the main good things about this is that the actual texture of the wheel. Normally, with normal cheaper console wheels, you'll find that the whole wheel is made out of complete plastic, whereas this one is made out of rubber. So it's a rubber, full rubber wrapped steering wheel. The only plastic parts are the actual internals of the wheel, where the spokes are, but the actual grip of the wheel is rubber. So you're going to also always get a good feel while you're actually driving. You're not going to get any hand slip or anything like that. So that's a very good thing that Logitech have actually come up with. So looking at the actual mapping of the buttons, you can pretty much see that it is quite compatible with the Sony PlayStation 3 DualShock controller. As you can see, you have your X buttons, your square, your triangle, circle all on the right hand side, and your directional pad on the left hand side. A good thing about this wheel also is that if you take a look, or if you just have a look at the top buttons there, the L3 and the R3, they're also compatible. They're able to be pushed down, because a lot of racing wheels don't actually have the ability to use the analog sticks and actually press them down accordingly, but this wheel actually does have the ability, well, the compatibility more like, to use the R3 and L3 buttons not just as analog controls, but as actual physical buttons, which is sometimes not always used on most wheels. You're probably looking at the red dial right now. This red dial right here, this is mainly used to reduce or increase the force feedback on the wheel, because this wheel does have a lot of force feedback. One of the main things about this wheel is that it doesn't just solely rely on the input device on the PS3. It does come with an external main supply as well for the force feedback, so that will also be supplied in the gear. You also have another button here, which is the plus and minus button. That's mainly, again, used for some. It can also be used for the force feedback. For some buttons, it's also mapped to increase the force feedback as well on the actual wheel rather than the actual vehicle you're driving. So the force feedback can either be in the format of the dial, or you can also map it on PC for the up and down buttons on the left hand side right there. In the middle of this normally lights up when you actually plugged it in. So the actual home button, most games. You have the start, you also have the select button, and towards the top here you have the R1 button, also the R2 button, and you also have the L2 button on that side, and on the back, which you probably won't be able to tell, but there's an R1 button and an R2 button right positioned at the back right there. On the right hand side you have not a H pattern shifter, but you also have a sequential shifter, so it just goes up and down like so. It's not very free moving, but it does the job. So you pull it back to change up gear and push it forward to change down gear. A lot of wheels tend to have suction cups to actually place it down on the surface there. But this just simply uses a screw and lock system right here. Just simply unscrew it to simply loosen up the contraption, and you just simply tighten it righty-tighty, and that tightens it right up to whatever desk. And I think it's compatible with about 3 inches, I'm not quite sure. I think it can take table thicknesses of 3 inches, which is pretty good. So that's a very good feature of this wheel. So I've decided to do a full-on test with the wheel, so I'll show you plugging the wheel into the console itself, and then as you can see, as soon as it turns on, it'll automatically calibrate by itself. So we'll go ahead and do that now. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and turn the console on. It's all been connected up now, so as soon as I turn the console on, you'll see that the wheel automatically starts to light up and then will eventually start to calibrate. Like so, and that's pretty much how the wheel calibrates itself, and then from there it becomes incredibly tough. Now a lot of people tend to complain about the force feedback being way too forceful on the actual wheel itself, but once the wheel's calibrated, you can then go ahead and plug out the power like so, and then it almost becomes, you know, like power steering when you turn on the car. It becomes much lighter. Because I know the force feedback can be a bit aggressive at times, but this is a way to try and avoid around that, because when you're playing games, sometimes turning around tight corners on strong force feedback is going to be quite painful. So you have to just plug out the main power supply, and then from there you can simply just turn it pretty much with just one finger. It becomes pretty much as light as that, even if it's not turned on. So it becomes as light as it should be without it being turned on. So anyway guys, this is pretty much the wheel in itself. I'll show you some clips of it in action as well. So stay tuned for that. I'll show you that right now. So while the game loads up, I thought I'd show you the time to actually show you the pedals, and it's pretty just 2 simple pedals. With the actual the G25 that actually has the H pattern shifter, you also get a clutch pedal, but with this one you just get the simple brake and gas. So you'll notice when you have the actual the actual steering wheel to hand, you'll notice that the actual pedal for the gas is a lot lighter, as you would expect, than the pedal for the brake, which takes a lot more pressure to push down, as you would expect with the brake pedal. Okay guys, so this is me pretty much using the wheel. I'm slightly more further back than I usually am when I'm playing, but this is me just showing you a quick or brief showing of just how to actually use the wheel on Gran Turismo 5. So off we go. And as you can probably tell, I've actually plugged out the mains power supply just to loosen up the force feedback, so it's not as intense as it usually is. But yeah, I think using the wheel, it really does give that realism effect of actually driving in a real simulator, which is something that you don't normally get when just using the standard DualShock controller. So anyway guys, this has been Boost HD here. Thank you for watching. Take care, and the Q&A video that I plan to do will be on Wednesday, so stay in tune for that. Take care and bye for now, and I'll see you in the next video.